following after Bev, and so she's already talked about a lot of the points, so I can not. So today I'm just going to give you a very condensed version of things that you can do to improve and promote your brain health aside from music. And just to know that we also offer these workshops much longer at our society or to any community groups that are interested in having one. So just to give you a brief overview, I think when we hear of dementia and we hear of Alzheimer's disease, they sound like the same thing. But in reality, dementia is just a group of symptoms that come with the disease, not necessarily Alzheimer's disease. So we can think about these symptoms being trouble with your memory, trouble with your judgment, and trouble with understanding. So if we take age out of the equation, we take disease out of the equation, how many of you have a perfect memory? And how many of you can 100% say you make great decisions all the time?
Oh, I do.
And how many people would say you have stellar judgment always? Okay? So clearly at some point we've all shown symptoms. But that doesn't necessarily mean we're sick. Okay? So Alzheimer's disease is one situation where those symptoms come with the disease. And in Alzheimer's case, it's non-curable. But aside from Alzheimer's disease, there are several other dementias or irreversible dementias that fall into this category. It's not listening to me. Okay, here. So, this is just to let you know that aside from Alzheimer's disease, there are several other dementias, and you may have one or more than one, and each of them affects someone differently. So, Beth mentioned that her nan had vascular dementia. It affects different parts of the brain compared to Alzheimer's disease. Lewy body disease does something else to the brain. So each person who has dementia is not going to be the same. Not to be scary or anything, but the reality is there are more and more people who have dementia. And what they're estimating is 500,000 people in Canada have either Alzheimer's disease or another kind of dementia. And right now they're estimating about 42,000 in Toronto, the GTA, sort of that area. Some things to keep in mind is that this is a disease where things get worse. And for many families, it's a tough, tough, tough journey. And this is a disease where something in the brain is not quite working the way it used to work. And that at this moment, we don't have a cure. So the common question I get is why? Why does it happen? And my answer is, we don't know. And it's not very comforting, I know. But we do know that somehow along the way, something affects the brain and it doesn't function the way it used to. So physically, there is a change in our brain. And so while someone may look perfectly fine on the outside, what's happening inside is not. So, I know you are going to have snacks soon. On the left, you have a normal brain. On the right, you have someone who's in their late stages of Alzheimer's disease. And really what's happening is the brain is starting to shrivel up and die. And at the same time, the brain is losing its abilities to tell the body what to do. I do have some of these, a pamphlet about the signs and symptoms. And if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, I show one or more of these signs. And I'm in trouble now. Right? So when I'm looking at this, I've had memory loss, I've had trouble with my language, I've been misplacing things quite a bit. So if we're just looking at this list, we're thinking, yes, 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 sounds like me. But what I really wanted to say is when any of these how you live your life, that's when it's a problem. Okay? So as an example, I forget. But it's the nature of what I forget. So if I forget my name, or if I forget your names, it doesn't really affect my daily life. But if I forget that I'm married, and I go home and I see a man that I don't recognize, who's really my husband, and I call the police, that's another type of memory loss that really does affect my life, because he's not someone I should be forgetting, at least not yet. Okay, and so that's what we're meaning. When any of these things start affecting how you live your life normally, that's when something is wrong. Maybe it's dementia, maybe it's not, but this is a great time to get checked out. So let's talk about how to keep our brains healthy, because I'm sure I want a stellar brain when I'm many, many years down the road. Okay? So we have to be clear that there are some things we have no way of changing, like our age, as much as we'd like to, what we're born with biologically in terms of gender, and what mom and dad gave to us genetically. But that most of the factors have to do with the things that we can do something about. Okay? So these are just some of the risk factors that research has shown, and you'll notice that they're just not limited to brain health. They're pretty much our health. Every other disease out there has a similar list. So, for a healthier brain, 4 things. Protect your head. Makes sense, right? Being active, living healthy, and giving your brain a workout. So, we're not athletes. We're not likely to injure our heads this way, but we might do things in our lives where we might slip and bump our head a little. And you never know what type of damage you've done until it's accumulated further down the road. So I just wanted to remind you that you can take good steps to protect your head, like wearing good shoes. So I behaved and I didn't wear heels, and I wore my runners. But things like making sure there are no boxes in your hallways, that you're turning on the light instead of halfway through the night if you have to go to the washroom, doing what I typically do. And those are simple things that we don't think about and often take for granted. Being active, and this is similar to what Bev said, it's creating connections. When you're talking with someone and spending time, you're building those connections, those associations, those memories. So even if a person doesn't know what they're talking about, a touch says a lot of things. Being healthy, and I think this is the easiest in some ways and the hardest in other ways, right? We know what it takes to be healthy, but where do you squeeze it in your day? Okay. So some of the things we said, the research has shown, is being active. And this is one of the most effective ways to keep your brain healthy, keep your body moving. Okay? And the statistics is most people who own running shoes don't actually do any running or movement connected to running. They just own them. And, you know, I hear a lot at the presentations, well, what kind of exercise should I do? Should I do swimming? Should I do walking? Should I dance? What's the best exercise? And my answer is the best exercise is one that you're willing to do. Because I can tell you to go swimming, but if you hate swimming, it's not going to happen. So the best exercise is one that you're willing to do on a regular basis. Okay? You want to choose things that you can keep up regularly, that have enough variety so you don't get bored, and that you can keep up for 10 minutes, because the research has shown that if you can devote at least 10 minutes a day to your body and your brain is going to benefit from that. So how many of you think you have 10 minutes somewhere? Somewhere, right? Hey, eating healthy, and I know we have people who are here talking about nutrition, and again, I'm not going to really give you any recommendations, but know that eating healthy and treating your body like a whole is guaranteed to be good for your body. And the research has shown that eating a Mediterranean diet seems to be good, maybe because there's a huge focus on fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables, and less on meats and higher quality compared to the North American diet. Okay? But we're finding that if you eat a regular diet, your body should get everything it needs to function. And 2 simple rules to keep your brain healthy: eat a rainbow. So tonight, when you go home and eat, see how many colors are on your plate. Real colors. Okay. And also, whatever's good for your heart is good for your brain. So if you're thinking about your heart, likelihood is you're also eating things that your brain needs. And the things that your brain needs are antioxidants, which you would get in your fruits and vegetables, your omega-3 fatty acids if you're eating fish, or you're eating other fortified foods with omega-3, and vitamins, which is in fruits and vegetables, and your grains. So if you're eating the way you should, your brain should be working the way it's meant to. How many of you are stressed? Stress is bad. Well, stress is good and bad. It depends on how much stress you have. So short-term stress is good because it helps you perform. The long-term stress, it damages you. So whatever it takes, de-stress. So it could be screaming at the top of your lungs if it does help, or maybe reading a book, whatever it is. Sleep. Make sure you're seeing your doctor once a year to see that everything in your body is functioning the way it's supposed to, because the more health risks you have, the more your brain is going to be put at risk. And then the last part is to give your brain a workout. And my dad is a great example. He's turning 70 this year, and whenever I tell him to use his brain, he says, I've worked 70 years, I have my children, they can do my thinking for me. And then so the other day he said, can you tell me when your mom's birthday is? I said, and you don't know this? And he's like, don't worry about it, just tell me. I'm like, you need to use your brain more. So like that, if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. So be a lifelong learner and learn something. Could be learning a new skill, could be learning a new language, anything. Keep your technology limited. I like my technology. Actually, I love my technology. But there's a price to that technology. And so when you're using a lot of technology, this isn't working very much. So keep in mind having a fine balance. Staying curious, and this is a cue we can take from children, because they are great at this. What, why, how. And I'm sure we still have those questions as an adult, but then it comes to, I don't have time, I've got other things to do, I'm not going to bother finding out. Or maybe once you find out, you tell me. Right? And so when we're doing that, we're not stimulating our brain the same way that we used to. Trying something different. And I see some of you have your hands crossed. Did you even think about that, or it just went like that? And if I asked you to cross your hands the other way, do you have to think about it? Do you have to think about which way the arms need to move? Or if I asked you to write your name with your other hand, are you thinking now? Right? I bet you if I said write your name with your regular hand, you could do it without looking. But the minute I asked you to write with your other hand, okay, which way do I need to move? Okay, and how does A look with my other hand? Challenging your senses. Aside from your eyes, do you use your sense of smell, taste, hearing much? Do you think you could recite the lyrics to some of those songs that Bev just played? So play with those senses, because again, they're playing with all the other parts of the brain that don't necessarily get stimulated by sight. And do something new each day. So, if you come a certain route here today, I challenge you to take a different route home. I'm guaranteeing you're gonna think about where you need to turn, where the speed limits are, how fast you can go here, and how fast you can go there. Whereas if you take the normal route, I'm sure you can almost turn without thinking about it. And so all of these things is just actively putting your brain to use. And I think the older we are, we sort of go back to routines. Routines are good because I don't need to think. My brain automatically knows what paths to go on. Just a little fun thing to tease your brain. What do you see? How many people see a person? How many people see an older person? How many people see a younger person? And how many people can see both? And how many people are looking at it and going, I have no idea what I'm looking at? Okay? And it's okay if you can't see them right now. It doesn't mean your brain is in trouble. It's just, again, asking your brain to think about things differently. And you can do any activity you want to do. You can do Sudoku, you can do puzzles. But if the minute your brain stops working hard, it means it's time to either increase the difficulty of what you're doing or find a whole new activity. So Sudoku is only good if you actually have to struggle to think about where the numbers are. If you can start filling them in without really thinking about it, time to move on. This is not liking me very much. Hey, one more quick riddle. It's pretty easy. If you drop me, I'm sure to crack, but give me a smile, I will always smile back. What do you think that is?
Face?
A face? A mirror? The answer is actually a mirror. Right? Because if you drop a mirror, that mirror is pretty much going to break. But if you smile at it, hopefully it's not one of those amusement park mirrors and it'll actually smile back. And you can do fun brain teasers like that. Something to think about is, it's never too late to start. A lot of times we're thinking, oh, I'm getting older, there's no point in me starting now. But if you have the intention to start, your brain can be better than what it was yesterday. And that the more things that you can do, so if you can pull 10 minutes in your day for exercise, 10 minutes in your day to eat better, 10 minutes a day to de-stress, the more that you can do, the better. And like all conditions, there are no guarantees. You can do all the right things and still end up with a disease, or you can do none of those things and never get the disease. But I hope we never put our brains to a gamble like that. Okay? And just to give you a little bit of ideas of what we do at the Society, we offer free counseling to the person who has dementia, as well as to their family and friends. So sometimes you might be stuck in a case where you have no idea what to do. And it's nice to have someone to give you some guidance. We have support groups, and it's always nice to know someone else who's going through the same situation. Like, you know, what did you do? Have you ever had this experience? We offer a lot of education and information, so we can do them webinars, in person, at your community groups. We have an excellent, excellent library, and you can request videos, journals, a lot of resources around any topic that you want. And our information specialist, she's wonderful. So it's searchable online. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on the iPod project. So as Bev mentioned, music is so important. And the reason why we started the iPod project is because someone in the States, Dr. Dan Cohen, he thought, you know, people who are living in long-term care, who have dementia, could still benefit from music. And he launched this project. And it really brought a lot of enjoyment to the people. And we said, you know what, why can't we do it here? music therapy. But what's different about this iPod project is it's personal music to you. So what we will do is we will set up anyone who has Alzheimer's, who has dementia, a formal diagnosis, with a free iPod shuffle, headphones that fit over their ears so that it doesn't fall out and they can just focus on the music. And we will sit down with the family and say, what kind of music can you relate to? Because some of those songs don't mean anything to me. But the Pink Panther, Saturday morning cartoons. Okay, so that triggers something for me. Whereas some of those songs would do nothing at all. And so all of this is we're hoping to create really personalized music to again connect someone. Especially as they're going through dementia, they're losing a lot of themselves. And somehow music can bring back a piece of who they were. We found that music can also help people communicate. Sometimes a person can be non-verbal for many years, and once that music triggers them, they're sprouting phrases, and families have been like, what just happened? It can improve mood. You start bopping around because it's something that brings back pleasant memories, maybe of your youth, maybe of some special event. And it also produces other kinds of beneficial interactions. And again, it's not due to age, it's whatever you can relate to. So I actually find myself going back to not 90s music, but stuff my parents listened to when I was growing up. That's the music I'm starting to gravitate to. So it's keeping in mind, and I'm doing this with my dad. What kind of stuff did you listen to? And he said, Elvis Presley. And I said, really? All? And he's like, no, just this one, this one, this one, this one. And if it's this song, then it's this one, this one, this one, this one. So I'm actually starting to compile that list for him. So over the next 3 years, our goal is to distribute 10,000 iPods to people with dementia across the city. And we're also working with youth who might have multiple generations of iPods lying around and asking them to donate it so that we can support more families who are living with the disease. So I do have pamphlets in the back there. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions.